On Monday, 4th September 2024, Damilola Orowoyo, a 17-year-old 100-level student at Federal University, Lokoja, Kogi State, Nigeria, was returning from school after her exams that day. When she got to a gas station, still around her school area, she met with a 20-year-old boy whom she had been chatting with since they met on Sunday the previous week. The two spoke as they strolled, but unknown to Damilola, the little stroll they were taking that evening was not as innocent as it appeared to her. Rather, it was part of a deceptive plan to lure her to a more isolated area where she would meet a very horrific fate. That Monday evening marked the very last day young Damilola would ever be seen alive. It was getting late and Damilola still hadn't returned home. Her parents tried calling her, but her phone was unreachable. Their worry began to grow, but little did they know their growing concern was about to turn into something far worse. Damilola's parents received a text message from a strange number, and when they opened the message, they were confronted with a nightmare no parent should have to face. The content of the message made it clear that their daughter had been kidnapped, and that if they ever wanted to see her again, they had to pay the sum of 400,000 naira as ransom. 4 days later, the parents reported Damilola missing to the Kogi State Police. They also showed them the text message they received from the kidnapper. The police then swung into action and began tracking the kidnapper's location. Fearing for their daughter's safety, the parents quickly put the money together and then sent it to the kidnapper. However, instead of receiving a phone call stating where they would find their daughter, they got another demand from the kidnapper. This time around, the kidnapper raised the ransom to 10 million naira. At this point, the parents had no other option than to involve the police once again. On Wednesday, September 11, 2024, just 5 days after Damilola was reported missing, the police finally got a hit at a location behind NNPC filling station in Falele. This location was still around the school area and was also close to where the kidnapper had met Damilola. The police got confirmation of his presence in the building through active tracking of his mobile device. Immediately, they swooped in and arrested the 20-year-old suspect, Jeremiah Paul, and 3 other accomplices, namely Emmanuel Otitoju, Barnabas Olubenga, and Ajayi Ayomide. All 4 suspects were taken in for questioning. During the interrogation, Jeremiah made a kind of confession that would shock even the most experienced detectives. Jeremiah Paul is a 20-year-old indigene of Kaduna State. Contrary to the information making rounds on social media, he is not a 100-level student of biology. At Federal University, Lokoja, he is not even a student to start with. Jeremiah and his 20-year-old friend, Barnabas, lived in Kaduna State. During interrogation, they claimed that they came to Kogi State to hustle. What the police didn't know at the time was the kind of hustle he was referring to. But it became clear to them after Jeremiah later led them to the crime scene. Jeremiah confessed that he met an Ifa, a term used to describe a native doctor, through TikTok. After copying his number from the platform, he messaged him on WhatsApp and requested a special soap that would supposedly bring him wealth. The Ifa then informed Jeremiah of the specific items he would need to gather for the soap preparation. He instructed him to bring these materials to his place in Ibadan, Oyo State, when ready. Armed with this information, Jeremiah and his friend Barnabas raised some money to leave Kaduna for Ibadan. But since their money was not enough for them to pay for a lodge, they decided to stay with a friend in Lokoja, Kogi State. The two then reached out to their friend, 19-year-old Ajayi Ayomide, and then met him in a game shop to ask if they could stay with him for a while before leaving for Ibadan. Ayomide, who is a 300-level student at the same school as Damilola, then agreed to let them stay with him. After some days, Jeremiah and Barnabas left Lokoja for Ibadan to meet with the native doctor. When they arrived in Ibadan, the Ifa gave Barnabas his soap, which he described as a soap for cleansing. The Ifa instructed him that whenever he takes his bath with the soap, he should not go outside at night so that he won't see any woman or smoke. Barnabas said he had hoped to start seeing money within a week. Now, it seems Jeremiah wanted something different from what was given to Barnabas, since there is no report that his friend's soap was made from the same materials the Ifa requested from him. The native doctor gave Jeremiah instructions on the specific parts he would need for his kind of soap. This instruction was what sealed the fate of young Damilola. Jeremiah and Barnabas returned to Ayomide's place in Lokoja. They told him that they had no money to travel back to Kaduna State and pleaded with him to let them stay for a while until they could gather enough money to pay their way back to Kaduna. Ayomide once again agreed to shelter them until they were ready to leave. Jeremiah met Damilola on a Sunday, possibly the 1st of September 2024. He told her he liked her and then exchanged numbers with her. He chatted her up throughout that Sunday and then requested to see her the next day. In his confession, Jeremiah told the police that he had already decided within him that Damilola would be the source of all the specific materials requested by the Ifa. Since he had already sealed Damilola's fate, he bought a bottle of Sprite and spiked it with a sedative drug so that it would impair Damilola's judgment and ability to fight back. He did this in preparation for their meeting the next day. When Damilola was done with her exams that Monday, she met up with him in front of a gas station. Jeremiah showed up with the mixed Sprite. In order for her not to get suspicious, he drank some and then handed it to her. After she had the drink, Jeremiah convinced her to go home with him, to which she agreed. When Jeremiah noticed that the mixture had kicked in, he took her to an uncompleted building close to his house, where he tragically ended her life. After committing this heinous act, he then took her to a nearby bush before reaching out to the native doctor in Ibadan. The Ifa then sent a driver who came with a calabash wrapped in black and white cloth and also a knife wrapped in red cloth. It is these tools that Jeremiah used to gather the items needed for the soap, as instructed by the native doctor. Once the task was completed, Jeremiah handed over the items to the driver, who then delivered them to the native doctor in Ibadan. Some days later, the Ifa billed Jeremiah's soap back to him in Lokoja. Upon their arrest, Ayomide confessed that he knew nothing about the plans Jeremiah had for Damilola. He also mentioned that some days after the two had returned from Ibadan, Jeremiah and Barnabas had told him that they cashed out 400,000 naira, which they then used to buy new phones and food. This 400,000 naira was the ransom paid by Damilola's father, who had absolutely no idea that his daughter was already dead. The fourth suspect was 24-year-old Emmanuel Otitoju. He is a 100-level student at the same university. Emmanuel denied his involvement in the crime. He claimed that when he first met Damilola, the deceased told him that she had a misunderstanding with her boyfriend, to which he advised her to settle with him. He also claimed that Damilola told him her age, to which he responded that he couldn't date her because she was too young. Emmanuel also told the police that he is not a Yahoo boy and that he only got to know Jeremiah because they were neighbors in the same compound. He claimed he had no idea about the plans Jeremiah had for Damilola. It's just so hard to understand what's really going on with our youths. The sudden desire for quick wealth and the determination to do whatever it takes to achieve it is getting out of hand, and something has to be done about it. Jeremiah's arrest may have brought a small sense of justice, but the question remains, how many more lives do we have to lose before something impactful is done to stop this dark trend? The need for stronger societal values, mental health education, and a clear message from religious and community leaders cannot be overstated. Parents and teachers must work together to steer young minds away from this deadly path. The glorification of wealth at all costs, often seen on social media, has played a significant role in the rise of these dark practices. What Jeremiah did to Damilola is terrifying, and to think that he is just a 20-year-old boy is even more disturbing. None of the suspects arrested in connection to the crime is above 25 years of age. The oldest among them is 24 years old. Growing up, our parents would caution us to be careful around adults, as they were the ones who were more likely to indulge in these terrible practices. But these recent cases have shown us something even more alarming. It is becoming very clear that the younger generation is who we should be more worried about now. One has to be extra careful these days, not just on who they meet, but also on who they let into their house. Assuming Ayomide is innocent and he truly did not know anything about Jeremiah's reason for wanting to visit Ibadan, he just got himself entangled in a mess that may change his life forever, all because he was lending a helping hand to a friend. It is such a sad story, and we hope the police do a good job so that only the guilty ones among them get punished. At the time of making this video, this case was still under active investigation, so make sure to like, share and subscribe to this channel so that you will be notified when I publish an update on the case. Thank you for watching and stay safe.